I'm sure you guys remember recently I bought a bunch of poem books because I love poetry. So I actually sat here and I put them in order of the order I'm going to read them in, starting up here and going down, obviously. These are very easy reads. Like, I could read this in 20 minutes, flat. But I really want to enjoy them a little bit more. But I figured I would do like a progress every day and show you guys where I'm at in this pile and recommend them and say, okay, this one's really good, this one wasn't that great, you know, things like that. Because I have gotten requests of people wanting to hear more, a little bit of book talk. I'm not gonna make my whole videos about it, but I figured that would be fun. Do you guys like my cute little setup? Because I told you guys I was obsessed with this cover. I have my plant on my desk and that book. I just think that cover is so beautiful. I still haven't started that book. When I do, I will. And Becky was the one who was putting the little sticky things on it. This is what I like using. And I was the one hanging them, and I was doing really horrible until I got to these bottom two. And I had one up here that I did first, and it was so bad. But I did perfect on this one, so we had to take this one off. And now Becky's gonna try to make it perfect. You got it. Make sure to focus on the space in between down here so it's the same up there. I think you might have got it. You guys should have seen it. I should have showed you how lopsided I had the first one. But the bottom two were perfect. I don't understand. So what do you guys think? You did perfect, babe. Are you a professional hanger painter person?
Totally.
Do you like them in here? They look really good. Wow, this one is from Beth Morgan and there's 440 thumbs up. Amber, you probably are diabetic. You should be on keto, sweetie. So last time I got my labs checked, I was actually not even pre-diabetic. So I'm super happy about that. Obviously things can change rather quickly. As for keto, I cannot go on keto. I'll never go on keto. It is something I actually have talked to my doctor about. With keto, you need high fats majority of the time, and I actually have gallstones. And when you have gallstones, you shouldn't have constant high fats. But overall, my doctor has told me that doing such low carb is not the greatest idea, especially not long term. Hey, so I've actually had a lot of people asking, why do I run out of my medicine without getting it refilled? Like, why do I let myself run out of medicine? And I've been asked that because I told you guys I have no more vitamin D. So that wasn't my fault, unfortunately. I had an appointment scheduled to get my labs done again because my doctor didn't want to give me more vitamin D if my vitamin D was up. So I was supposed to go get my labs done again, but that appointment got canceled due to the virus. So I was not able to get a refill on vitamin D. And I still can't get a refill on vitamin D because of the virus. So I just wanted to say that and mention that. But I am going to be having a video appointment and see if, you know, if I tell her, hey, I'm back to feeling fatigued and all that stuff, because that's how I was feeling before taking the vitamin D. So if she knows that I am back to feeling that way, then, you know, she's a doctor, she'll know, okay, well, that means your vitamin D is low again. So maybe then she'll do a refill. But that's the only reason why, because trust me, I would have had that refill ready to rumble. I would have went to my appointment and all that, but it was canceled, sadly. So I just wanted to let you guys know, because there was a lot of, it's not a PTSD episode. It's you not breathing and your body waking you up. Okay. So regarding it's you not breathing and it's your body waking up, the thing is, when my schedule, like my sleeping schedule, is on track, when I'm sleeping like a normal person, like when I'm falling asleep at night and waking up in the morning, it never happens. Like, I never jolt awake. I'm never like jolting awake and being scared or panicky. I don't wake up at all in the middle of the night. I sleep like an actual baby. But then when I can't sleep like at all because I'm having so much anxiety, and I'm just like, it's like this fear and this like feeling of like doom or something bad is about to happen. I cannot sleep at all. And it's like so bad that anytime I'm about to fall asleep, I jolt awake. And it's only happening when I literally can't sleep at all. So yeah, it's definitely has something to do with my breathing, because if it did, then it would also happen when I was on a normal sleeping schedule, which I'm on now. Next comment. So I just want to start off by saying that I have been on Instagram for days now, maybe over a week, just like super obsessed with interacting with you guys, answering your guys' questions, and it's been real fun for me. And I happened to share a poem on there, and you know, I get majority of people saying, wow, you're a really good writer, which feels really good. But then the minute I get one mean thing about my poetry, I'm just like, all the good stuff kind of goes away. So I've been writing poetry since 6th grade, and I know a lot of like my really old stuff has turned up on the internet. I'm talking things that I wrote when I was 17. You have to realize that was 13 years ago. I am a completely different writer now than I was then. People blossom, people change, whether they get better or they get worse. Like, it is what it is. Poetry for me is a really good outlet, and I love writing poetry whether I'm good or whether I'm bad. And I just think 100 people can read the exact same poem, and there are going to be people in there who absolutely hate it and despise it, and there are also going to be people in there who love it and resonate with it. I think the most beautiful thing about poetry is that you can read it and think of something that the author didn't even really present. And that's happened to me several times. And that's kind of what happened with the poem that I put on Instagram. A lot of people were messaging me saying, oh, I know what this is about, blah, blah, blah. So I do want to explain that a little bit. And I'm also going to read the poem, which I'm nervous about. So when I'm writing poetry, it is mainly just like a way for me to journal. It's just the best way for me to express myself and how I'm feeling. I never sit there with the thought process of, okay, I'm gonna write a poem. Let's make it sound good. Let's have it flow the right way. I more so just let my fingertips talk, and that's usually what works best for me. And, you know, I'll proofread it and stuff, but 9 times out of 10, I leave it how I did it. My rough draft is always my final draft, mainly because my poetry is strictly, okay, well, that's how. I'm not a fan of tea. If you guys know me, you know that. I like tea that is like Arizona iced tea, because it doesn't taste like tea, it tastes like juice. I just have never really liked tea very much. I mean, I have found a few that I'm like, okay, this is like decent, but it's not something I go out of my way to drink. But I saw this peach and peach and passion fruit tea. I do want to try it because I feel like tea is actually really good for you. The only thing I don't like about it is the fact that it does have caffeine in it. And I try my hardest not to have a ton of caffeine because I already have sleeping problems, and caffeine really isn't the greatest for you in my opinion. And I notice when I have a lot of caffeine, like I get heart palpitations because I'm not used to it. Okay, I'm like rambling. But if I drink this in moderation. So we ended up going there. And I've gone out to eat plenty of times in my life, and I kind of just want to talk about how I feel being fat, eating in public, because there's a lot of people who, even just skinny people, don't want to eat in public. They feel like people are judging them, looking at them, criticizing what they're eating, this and that. And I have never had that like feeling of like, oh, people are looking at me while I eat. Like, even when I was in like elementary school, I would eat other kids' foods. Not even kidding. This is an example. Like, there was this rice thing that my elementary school had, and it was just like this ball of rice, like a hill of rice. I can't even explain it. And nobody liked it but me. So I'd be like, hey, do you want that? And I just take it off their tray. Like, I didn't even care. And then when I got into middle school, still didn't care. High school, didn't care. Like, I got free lunches, but then the foster home I was in, like, she also gave me money for school lunches, so I was having free lunch, and then I also bought another lunch, and I just didn't care what people thought of me, like, in the slightest bit. And I'm sure people looked at me and judged me, and I just really didn't care. And then as I grew older, like, going into restaurants and stuff, like, I just felt like another person eating in a restaurant. Like, everyone has to eat. That is your key to survival. That and water. Like, I don't know. But until recently, I have catched myself feeling more self-conscious than I've probably ever felt in my life regarding eating in public. I've gained a lot of weight, as you guys know, and as you guys can tell. Like, hello, how you doing? And lately, I have been having to ask just for peer tables instead of kind of hoping to fit into booths, because back about 100 pounds ago, I was able to squeeze into pretty much any booth. There was maybe a couple where it was like, that's not even possible for someone who weighs 250 pounds, so let alone me. Now, it's almost like impossible to fit in booths, and I mean, there's possibly a booth at this Chinese buffet I used to go to a lot that I can fit in, only because I can scoot the table and this and that, but even that gets complicated because the person sitting across from me is like the table's like up against them, so I have more room. It's just a whole mess. And I've really never had to constantly ask for tables. It's like embarrassing, and I'm starting to really get self-conscious. Like, when I order food, I almost feel like the waitress or waiter is like judging what I'm about to say I want to eat, and I feel like people around me are hardcore judging me. And the reason why this is like on my mind right now, this is gonna sound horrible of me to even want to admit. I'm sorry I keep playing with my hair. It's because I'm just like, I'm feeling like all kinds of like frantic because of this. We went into Texas Roadhouse today, and when we went to go sit down, there was this girl who, you know, to me looked like she was maybe like 50 pounds bigger than me. I can't really say. I asked Destiny. Like, I have this like crazy thing where if I see someone that's like really morbidly obese like I am, I'll literally ask whoever I'm with, hey, is that person bigger than me? I don't know why. It's sickening. I don't know why I do it. I don't know if it's because I want to feel better about myself or I want to understand how other people visually see me. I really don't know what it is. And I asked Destiny, she's like, I don't know, I wasn't really looking at her. I'm like, oh, that helps. But to me, she looked like she was about 50 pounds bigger than I was. Either way, we were both like super huge in the restaurant. And she was also sitting at a table with her like chunky friend. And I couldn't help but almost like judge this morbidly obese girl. Like, I am morbidly obese and I'm worried about other people judging me, but yet I am sitting there almost like judging this girl. Like, I wouldn't say I was like judging her like, oh my god, this big girl's in a restaurant. I was more so looking at her thinking, I'm so sad for her. Like, I'm sad that she's obese. And I noticed how other people stared at her, yet I never noticed how people stare at me. And it's like, it really opened my eyes. Like, do people look at me that way too? And I just don't notice it, but I noticed it was somebody else. Like, does that even make sense? Like, I was just, it was like a whole thing. And then I really almost didn't even want to sit there because I felt like we were going to draw attention because it's two really big girls. And I don't know, like, I was feeling really odd when we first got there. And I didn't tell Destiny, obviously. I didn't like share those emotions because I don't expect anyone to understand how I feel. And it's like, when the girl stood up to leave, I hadn't even gotten my food yet. And it's like, I couldn't stop staring at her. Like, all I could think about is like, I'm so sad for her. Like, why is she eating out? I did think that at one point. Like, what the fuck? I am morbidly obese.